The first fear that I hear many of my corporate leaders share as they think about making a career change, the fear that gets in their way, that prevents them from exploring is it possible to find something that I really like to do and maintain my lifestyle? In fact, does anybody really like their job? Look, the fact is, money is an important consideration. It's not a finite resource, it doesn't grow on trees, and it is something that you'll have to and want to consider as you think about your next career change. But what I'll tell you is what I typically see as I start to work with corporate leaders who dare to go on this exploration and find something that's really fulfilling for them is there tends to be a pendulum swing. It'll start out by wanting to do something radically different from where they are today just because their pain is so intense and they want to get away from it. So I hear a lot of people come in and say, hey, I want to be an interior decorator, a designer, a yoga instructor, something that just taps into their creativity and allows them to be to focus more on health and wellness. What happens during this journey, though, as we go on this career exploration together, is the pendulum starts to swing back, where they do find a career that encapsulates all the things they've been thinking about as an outlier in their pendulum swing, but also allows them to use the skills they've built over the years and command the income that they want. I'm going to give you my own personal story as an example. I was 13 years in corporate America. I left a director of marketing position and worked for really big companies along the way, Johnson & Johnson, Eli Lilly. So as I considered this move away to do something more fulfilling, certainly what was in the back of my mind was, am I going to be able to make the same amount of income to support my family in the way that I want to? It wasn't until I had a very significant personal event happen where my first daughter was born and my grandfather died in the span of 3 weeks that I realized that life was too short to let money drive my decision. And that if I trusted in myself and I knew where I was going to go, my natural skill set was going to allow me to create the lifestyle that I wanted. Now, this didn't happen overnight. I worked with a coach to help me get there and really start to strip away what some of my fears were and really get to the core of my motivation. When I did that, I found this vocation as a perfect match for what I was looking for, helping corporate leaders like you really discover what their true drive, inspiration, and motivation was so that they could create a work life that was very inspiring. I didn't land on coaching right away. I considered lots of other things. I was looking into franchises, owning yoga studios. I was looking at real estate. There were lots of other things. But as I looked at the theme across all of these vocations that I was considering, it was helping people in a very significant and tangible way that was the theme. And coaching enabled me to do that in a way that really catered to the lifestyle that I wanted to build. And I can't tell you how glad I am that I made that switch years ago, because it's so fulfilling and I'm doing the work that I know that I was put on earth to do. Now, I don't want to diminish the value of staying in a role because you need the money. Now, that is a decision that everybody needs to make, and certainly one that can't be criticized. The key is to really think about what's most important to you and making decisions that really honor your top values. So if you decide, hey, I need to stay in the role I am to pay for my family and all of their needs, as long as you come to peace with that decision and you feel really good about where you are, that's where I'm encouraging you to go. Imagine if Oprah had never left her news station in Chicago to film The Color Purple and build her empire years later. Imagine if Steve Jobs had stayed at Stanford and not decided to drop out and start Apple in his garage. Imagine all the people who didn't take the leap and follow their dream, and the difference that we could see in this world. 3 questions that I encourage you to ask yourself as you think about if you want to explore this dream that's been dancing around your head for years and years and years. Number 1, what would life look like in 5 years if you stayed where you are today? Number 2, if your future self 20 years down the road came back and talked to your current self, what do you think they'd say to you? If you struggle with this, a really good way to think about this is, if you went back and talked to yourself 20 years ago, what advice would you give to your former self? Finally, if this were your last day on earth, what would you want to do differently? Hope this has given you something to think about. Tune in for the next topic, which is, am I really qualified for the role that I want? For more information about this and some of the other topics that I cover as it relates to the biggest fears that prevent corporate leaders from chasing their dream job, visit my website, swim-against.com.